Hi, Valley here. I thought I'd just share a little bit about my own story and getting to a place where my body was really overloaded with toxins. So, as a younger person in my 20s, I did a lot of horse riding in the Nelson district. I loved it. Unfortunately, we were in the midst of orchards, and at times I'd go out riding and they'd be spraying, God knows what, whether it was Roundup, whether it was pesticides. So, of course, I would have been breathing that in without, in those days, didn't have any awareness around toxicity at all, and I would have been breathing that in. So that was one reason why I started to get overloaded with toxins. Plus, when I first came to New Zealand, I had no experience whatsoever with Roundup. I lived in a town and didn't have much really to do with the country, even though I was at heart a country person. And one of the jobs that I was given on a farm when I first came into New Zealand was to cut gorse and to paint it with Roundup. So that was my first introduction to chemicals. Then horse riding, and I remember using lice powder on when I'd gone away and come back, and one of the horses that we had lice, so I just kind of sprinkled this lice powder all over him and breathed it in without any awareness. So that was another thing. I'd used Roundup to, so I was building a dressage arena, and I'd use Roundup for the weeds, get that started, and then moving to Auckland. So that was all in the South Island. And coming up to Auckland, of course, we don't live in the, I wasn't living in the country, but in Point Chev, and there they were spraying with the moth spray. So that's when I first started to notice things changing in my body. Like, for instance, if I drank wine, I'd find it, I can't really remember what the symptoms were, but I wouldn't recover from it very quickly. Wouldn't have to drink a lot, maybe two, three glasses. And then what I was noticing after they sprayed, because you'd go out to the car and you'd open up the car door and I would feel the spray on my hand and I think I started in those days just to notice the smell of it and it being really yucky. I mean, I still didn't have a lot of awareness. That was around 2001, 2000, 2001. And my body was dealing with that really not a problem at all in those days. But later on, so about 2007, I had a couple of amalgam fillings out within 6 months of each other. And the second one, the dental nurse didn't pick up the broken filling, and I swallowed two lumps of it. And unfortunately, around the same time, I half flea bombed the house. With still no awareness in those days, at 2007, around chemical overload or poisoning. And that's when I started to get unwell or have symptoms. So I lost a lot of weight. So the weight dropped off me, although I didn't have a lot on. And I felt very tired. And also, I noticed when I went to the toilet, my stool was clay coloured. So that's kind of a symptom of the liver kind of struggling, I guess, to function really well. So in those days, I'd been introduced to homeopathic remedies. So I went and had a treatment with homeopathic remedies, got tested for all the chemicals, and I was given that. And I can remember driving home after taking that remedy and just feeling like my energy just lifted up immediately. It was quite amazing. But I think what had happened is that it really messed my immune system up. And then, of course, I would 2002. So what's that? 23 years ago. 60. I would have been in my 40s, late 30s, 40s, early 40s, and so the things that really changed. What I noticed things really changed for me was going through and after menopause because everything really changes in your body, and things just don't take a lot longer to heal and a lot longer to change. And I guess so. The interesting symptom actually, when I partially flea bombed the house, I couldn't sleep in my bedroom for about 3 months, and I was sleeping in a space that was separated in the living room, and I could feel the pesticide working on my nervous system. It was really awful. It was like a burning sensation, and that's one symptom that I get, particularly when I eat foods that my body is now that my immune system is actually reactive to. And so what happened was that I became more and more reactive to being around chemicals. For instance, as an example, walking through the supermarket where all of the dishwashing and all the chemicals are, it was just the smell of it was so strong and so uncomfortable. I just would, if I had to go in there to go and get some non-chemical washing powder, for instance, I would just walk through this as quickly as I could. I'm nowhere near as bad as I am now because I've done a heap of detoxing and know a lot more what's going on in my body. In those days, I just didn't know what was going on, to be quite honest, and it's taken me quite a long time to understand what the issues have been. And it's actually the bioresonance scanner that's brought a lot to light because, of course, I can see when I first did the scans, I could see that I had gut dysbiosis, which is an imbalance of the gut flora in the body, which then really weakens the immune system. And yeah, so it's been a journey, I must say. And the I still get symptoms like my body's buzzing, and if I eat, particularly if I eat the wrong things, that my body actually it doesn't. It's nowhere near as bad as it used to be. Like my whole body could burn, and like I'd have to get under the shower to feel that my body was. To bring it out of stress for a start and to reduce the inflammation or the heat that I was experiencing. So it's been, I must say, it's been a huge journey, and discovering the bioresonance scanner, having a session, that first session I had, and then finding Dr. Davis Williams, William Davis rather, Supergut, and that's really changed my life a lot. And of course, understanding about toxicity now and how to start cleaning that up. So it is a process. It doesn't happen overnight. Healing the gut doesn't happen overnight. Supporting the immune system doesn't either. It just obviously depends on the individual. And I know there's a lot of people probably out there wondering what's going on with themselves. And I think it's so important now that we just have to detox. We've got no choice around it if we want to be healthy. We also really need to look at our diet and understand that sugar is actually a poison to the body. High glycemic foods or carbohydrates like lots of bread, lots of flours and things like that. Our body is not designed to deal with those sort of foods all the time, and the pancreas gets overloaded, and it just has a really bad influence on the gut. And then, of course, it has a knock-on effect on everything else in the body because your gut, what's going into your gut, into your stomach, is eventually going into the bloodstream, and it's feeding every single cell in the body, so all the organs. So if you're not eating a really good diet, probably we need to really supplement as well so we get all the nutrients that we need. Then there's no wonder we've got a lot of disease because the body's what we're ingesting is not feeding the cells to actually be able to do the jobs that they need to do. And then, of course, like the pancreas and the adrenals, for instance, is overloaded with caffeine. It's not meant to be overloaded with caffeine, and eventually the adrenals can become so overworked that they become fatigued and they just can't function properly. And the same with the pancreas, people that have got diabetes. Yeah, so I just thought I'd share my journey because it's been a journey, I must say. It's not been an easy one. But here I am doing what I'm doing, and I love it. And so maybe that's part of the reason why I had to go on that journey in the first place. You just don't know. I never knew in my late 20s when I came to New Zealand that I would get overloaded with toxins. I just had no awareness whatsoever. And I think a lot of people don't, even today. They don't have awareness around toxicity. They don't have awareness around the foods we're eating because it's so normal. It's so normalized. But if you really think about the way that we used to eat before all of this fast food stuff and processed foods, and the way our grandparents ate, they were way healthier. They didn't anyway. I just thought I'd share what my journey has been, and you might be able to relate to it. And if you do, and you find something, get something out of this video, please I encourage you to share it, because I think it's important for people to kind of try and get some information about what's really going on around the way that we're living, because it's normal, isn't it? Really, at the end of the day. Anyway, hope you enjoy this video, and thanks for sharing if you do.